And, of course, right now features former BYU tight end legend, Super Bowl champion, and BYU Sports Nation critic, Dennis Pitta, is back on the show. Hello, Dennis.
Trick or treat, Jerome.
I wanted two things for my birthday, and one of them just didn't happen. So there you go.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know it was your birthday until about 2 seconds ago. But if you think I'm going to say happy birthday to you, you're sorely mistaken.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Please don't.
Dennis, welcome back to the show. Jerome has clearly missed you, my friend.
Mr. Musk.
Oh, I know he has. But no, man, happy birthday, I guess. How old are you? 46, 47?
We were in school around the same time, Dennis, so we're very similar ages. So I don't understand.
Really?
Yeah.
God, you have not aged well. That's okay.
That's not true. I look not a day over 26, Dennis. Come on, man. Hey, remember when Gary Croton called you Dustin and Bronco was the defensive coordinator when you were a young pup?
I remember that.
That's fun. That was fun.
Very vividly. I have told that story many a times. You know, that's my go-to motivational speech.
Yes.
You know, I started at a lowly level. The head coach didn't know my name. It was Dustin. And, you know, now we're here. Now I get to talk to you two. So I've clearly come a long way.
You've fallen.
It's been an interesting story arc, up to the top and then back down to the bottom with us, Dennis.
Way down.
That's right. I'm back at the bottom, slumming it with you two.
Yeah, exactly. You've known Bronco forever because, let's see, your freshman year, he's the DC. You go on your mission, you come back, he's the head coach all of a sudden. You could have left and gone somewhere else, I suppose, but you wanted to stay and be with Bronco, and then you had some amazing years with him. How did he evolve as a guy at BYU from that guy pre-mission DC to the head coach?
Yeah, so when I was there 2004, my freshman year before I left on my mission, he was the defensive coordinator. I don't think I said 2 words to Bronco Mendenhall. He never said anything to me. I never said anything to him. Never had a conversation with the guy ever. You guys know Bronco. He's a man of few words. And so when he was the defensive coordinator, he had no interaction with me whatsoever as an offensive player. And so he got made the head coach, and I said, great. Looking forward to meeting him, even though he was on our team and the defensive coordinator through that whole year. But I really had no relationship with him, to be completely honest. So, but listen, Bronco was absolutely the right guy at that time in BYU football. And I look back at those times, and I am incredibly grateful for, you know, his leadership. Guys were held accountable. Guys were disciplined. Guys, you know, had to work hard. That was always his mindset. That's everything he preached. And we did. We outworked people, and it was successful for us. And you've seen him bring that approach to Virginia, in my opinion, a program that needed that kind of discipline and stuff. And he's done a great job over there.
Dennis Pitta is with us on BYU Sports Nation. And I know Bronco at some point at least called you by the right name, right? He called you Dennis.
I can't actually confirm that. I'm not sure he ever said my name, but we had more interaction as when he was a head coach than when he was a defensive coordinator, for sure. I think he knows my name is Dennis, but not totally positive on that one.
What's your favorite memory featuring Bronco Mendenhall in your time as a BYU football player?
So my favorite memory, we were in a team meeting, and, you know, this is one that's kind of just near and dear to my heart because Bronco is not a guy that gave out compliments all that often. And we had just played Utah my senior year. We had just beaten them in extraordinary fashion, like you guys remember, the Andrew George overtime play. Which I'm still upset about because I was more open than Andrew on that play.
I was going to say, why didn't you get the ball?
That's for a different day. And we were in team meeting, I believe it was that following Monday, right after that game. And I had actually just broken the BYU receiving record. You know, it's my 220th catch or something like that. And Bronco had the game ball for me in that particular team meeting, and he handed it to me and he said, you know, we just don't remember you dropping a lot of balls. So good job. You deserve this record. Here you go. And, it was just a really subtle compliment, but one you just didn't hear very often. And it's one that's always stuck with me. Like, Bronco thought I caught the ball pretty well. And, it's like being a little boy and your father gives you a compliment. He's always been kind of hard on you, and he gives you a really good compliment, and it just completely turns your day around. And it's something that I always remember. I always remember kind of just those words he said to me in that team meeting and the compliment he gave me. And I'm truly appreciative of it. But, that's not saying he should have been more complimentary, not saying he should have, done anything different as a head coach. I loved the way that he was. And again, I couldn't imagine playing for anybody different.
Cody Hoffman later passed you. That's the bad news. But that's cool, Dennis.
Thanks for not the tight end records, but the all-time receiving records. Yes,
the tight end records. Bronco's going to be back in the house. It's not just Bronco. It's Ja Beck and Kelly Papinga and Robert and I and Mark Atwai and there's 10 other guys. What do you think that's going to be like emotionally in the stadium, not only for the BYU fans, the BYU team, which doesn't have anything to do with those guys except for 5 players who were recruited, right? And then on the Virginia sideline, they're on the other side of the field trying to beat BYU. That's got to be a weird deal.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. I think it'll be a neat experience for Bronco and Robert and I and all those guys who spent so much time here to be able to be back in LaVell Edwards Stadium. And like you said, nobody on the team currently really has any relationship with those guys. It's really all of us past players that I think will appreciate it so much more. But those guys did a lot of amazing things at BYU. To take BYU from, and I saw the entire evolution because I was there in 2004 with Gary Croton, and things were not good in the program. I mean, there was guys getting in trouble left and right. There was a lack of discipline. We weren't performing on the field. And Bronco and that staff came in and completely did a 180 with the program. I mean, they got guys out of there that shouldn't have been there, that were making mistakes off the field. They instilled, like I mentioned before, a level of accountability that just wasn't there in the Croton era. And we had some amazing years. How long was Bronco there? 10, 11, 12 years?
11 seasons, yeah.
You guys probably know this. 11 seasons. I mean, over those 11 seasons, there were some incredible runs, some really good football teams. And without Bronco and that staff, I mean, I don't think that, those things are accomplished at that point in BYU football. And so, those guys deserve a ton of credit. And I think now that they've moved on and we love Kalani Sitake, and I think the program's in a great spot now as well. But you see what that staff's able to do with Virginia. And Virginia is not a high profile football program, but they're scoring points on offense and they're disciplined and they're doing things right. And they're competing in the ACC, which Virginia very rarely does. And so you have to really tip your hat to those guys and appreciate everything that they did for BYU, especially at that time when BYU was maybe at its lowest in football.
Sure. Dennis Pitta is with us on BYU Sports Nation. We were just going through all of the huge question marks we have about tomorrow's game because, frankly, we're not sure what to expect from Virginia and from BYU after both teams have played 8 games. So, Dennis, what type of game do you expect between Virginia, who has a high-flying, pass-happy offense, against BYU, who's more grinded out, efficient, physical, and relatively low-scoring team? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, each team has to really play their style. And listen, if you guys think that Bronco and Robert and I aren't going to pull out all the stops in this game to try and get a win in LaVell Edwards Stadium, I mean, you're mistaken, because they are going to do whatever it takes. I mean, I would expect, and Robert and I, at least with, in my tenure with them, there was not a lot of trick plays. There was not a lot of, flash to some of his play calls, but I would, if I'm the BYU defense, be ready for just about anything in this game, because, this very well may be this staff's Super Bowl this season for them. And so I think BYU has to play their style. You have to be physical in the run game. You have to control the line of scrimmage. If they can control the line of scrimmage, they're going to be able to move the football, and they're going to be okay. But you also have to be able to score points, because Virginia's going to score points. And, Virginia can move the ball with the best of them. And so if BYU plays their style and they control the line of scrimmage and do all that, and consistently score points on each and every drive, this is going to be a ball game. But, if BYU sputters in the run game and they have to rely on, just the arm of Jaron Hall trying to throw the ball over the field and trying to match what Virginia is doing, I think it's going to be a long day for them. But I think it'll be a fun matchup, to be completely honest, and I'm excited to watch it.
Dennis Pitta, Jerome, I told you he would have the answers to our big mystery.
Well, we'll see tomorrow.
He's our super
Wait, your name's Jerome? This whole time I thought it was Jerome or Jaron.
It is funny now that
N.
Jaron's the starter. People are calling me Jaron. It's funny. They're like, Jaron. I mean, Jerome. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, Dennis, great to catch up with you, man. Obviously, we wish you were up here and were on the sidelines with us, but we know you'll be there with us in spirit.
I will be there in spirit. Hey, Spencer, whenever it's your birthday, man, happy birthday.
Hey, appreciate that.
I know it's probably in the future, but
December 11th.
Just wanted to wish you happy birthday.
Awesome.
I appreciate you, brother.
You're the best.
You're welcome.
We'll talk
You're
to
welcome.
Somebody else.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, guys.
See ya. Dennis.
Bye.
Pitta.
Cut him. Get him out of here.
Sports Nation.